Welcome, everybody. Here we are at noon Central Time. Glad you're joining us today. I expect a lot of me's coming up in the chat here soon. Hopefully, everybody can hear and see me real loud and clearly. There we go, Robert. I knew you'd be up first there. Lots to talk about today. Some big moves in the market. We're going to hit on all of the headline stuff. And then we're going to talk about prop trading. What is prop trading? But first off, we have to talk about this move in Taiwan Semi, TSM. And you guys all know we put a position on this yesterday. And I was on live TV yesterday morning on the Schwab Network talking about TSM. And, I'm thankful that we put this position on. Now, obviously, it was really good, huge return, about a 300% return overnight. Most importantly, though, can these results from TSM, can this really recharge or help energize the marketplace, the semis, after what happened earlier in the week with ASML, where we saw those massive, big down days Tuesday and even a follow through yesterday. So is TSM a precursor for other potential earnings and guidance coming out? We'll have to see here. But look at this move today here, guys. And, I was looking at TSM prior to the release because I wanted to see this break above this prior resistance here. Fundamentally, the stock looked good. Excuse me. We got technically this massive bounce off of the 50-day moving average and off of the big volume area there. So that's why we put on a really nice bullish call spread there, guys, that obviously paid off really well. All right, can anybody besides Robert hear me? There we go. Karen, thank you. If you want to be on the wheel later, spin the wheel at the end of the live stream, you got to get a me in there so we can get you on there. All right, other than what we are seeing here in Taiwan Semi, what's the rest of the market doing? S&Ps, not quite at their high of the day here, but they're up about 23 points or so right now, which, every gain that we see is a new high. We're seeing the NASDAQ up just over 100 points. The Dow is up almost 200 points. So many people just saying, man, the rally, the market is so overextended. Can it continue? Can it continue? The answer is yes. What's unbelievable to me, though, guys, besides the Taiwan Semi results that came out today, anybody know what interest rates are doing today? Anybody see the bond market today? And to see the equity market move in sync, and I think, not that I meant to have a pun there, I think one of the InSync members actually passed away last night, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw that on the headline, not that I ever listened to an InSync song, but anybody see what the bond market is doing today? The 10-year yield, which got hammered over the last couple days, from 4.10 down to 4%, rallied all the way back to 4.10 today. Oh, One Direction. Thank you, Robert. All right. InSync, One Direction, whatever those bands are. I've never followed any of them, but thank you. So in the face of rising rates here, the market, the equity market, is still going along. And the reason for the rising rates today, retail sales this morning came in stronger than expected. Okay, which, double-edged sword, I guess. Good thing that the consumer, I guess, is still pretty healthy, at least from a data standpoint. Flip side of that is that puts more pressure on the Fed to, lower interest rates. As more economic data comes in that shows strength in the economy, that gives the Fed less reason to cut rates. So that's why we're seeing rates head up today. We also got weekly unemployment jobless claims this morning, came in a little bit lower than expected. So, we're in this situation. We don't really know if good news is good news or good news is bad news. But got to ride the market while we can do it. All right, guys, we're going to take any questions you have during the day here, but I want to hit the topic that we had sent out to everybody, and really something quite important. And I want to talk about prop trading, proprietary trading. Who has ever heard of prop trading? Besides one of the programs that we have here, Funder Trading here, and I'm going to bring in Mike Patton, the guru, in just a moment here. But who knows what prop trading is? And it's been around for a long time, but we've kind of reinvented it a little bit here. Okay, the bottom line is, okay, boy, easy for me. Proprietary trading, or that's why we call it prop, because it's so hard to to pronounce, is basically a situation where, in our case, we put up money for you to trade. Okay, we put up money. You don't have to use your own capital. All right, and what we want our clients, our students, to do is get knowledgeable enough in the markets, and then we strike a deal, we get comfortable with you, and you use our money. So with that being said, I am bringing in the man of the day here. And Mike, why are we not? Hang on. Come on, I need Michael Clark here to figure out why Mike Patton is not in our Zoom here. I know you're gonna be able to hear Mike here in a second, but why isn't he in the Zoom? There we go. Okay. I see it going on my screen here. You guys are gonna hear it here in a second. And there we go. There he is. Sorry about that, everybody. As you all know, I am not very savvy with this stuff. So it's a great thing that I have a great team. So everybody, I want to introduce here Mike Patton. Mike is someone that I personally have worked with literally for over 10 years, side by side. Mike is a phenomenal trader, a phenomenal educator, and he has been in the prop world for a very, very long time. He actually was a prop trader for another firm for quite a while. And then when we decided to come up with our product, our prop trading product, there was no one better that we wanted to head this up than Mike Patton. So, Mike, I want to turn it over to you to give a little overview on our program, and then we'll discuss, kind of some trades that you've been through and really the whole setup on how it works. So I'm going to give it over to you here, Mike.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, everyone. My name again is Mike Patton. So Funder Trading is the proprietary trading firm that we created about 2 years ago. And basically, it's the culmination of all the things that I was hoping to be able to do at some point. So it's a little background about me. I started trading in 2006, I would say officially. I was doing some trading before then, but I would just say it was little minor stuff like Forex. And basically around 2005, I realized I wanted to get into the trading business. I really, really wanted to get into the trading business. I was working in social services and honestly was very unhappy with the way things were going. And finally, I just saw a few things about trading that kind of got me interested. And then one day I saw the cover of Trader magazine. It showed a guy standing next to a Learjet and everything. I was like, okay, that's it. That's what I want to do.
You were hooked on that one, right? That's the big hook that a lot of these firms bring in. I personally don't like it, but I guess it works.
Yeah, I mean, that's what got me. It did get me at the end, but I was interested before then. But just seeing it was just like very exciting. So got my first job in the commodities world. I was actually doing commodities options. So like gasoline, heating oil, things like that, crude oil. And then did that for a while. And then around 2000, in the early 2010s, actually, I read Scott's book about trading options. And I had been trading options before, but to be honest, I didn't know that much about them. I had all these questions I used to ask. So Scott's book, I think it was called Options Scholar back then.
It was.
Yeah. So I read that, and that was the first time I really learned some serious trading information about options. And I was just thinking, you know what, I should get into the equities. That's what I should be now, because volatility in the futures was dying down. equities were going crazy. There was all sorts of mergers, acquisitions, all sorts of things happening
Yeah,
around then.
that's when option volume really started exploding, and it's still expanding. But you look at 2010, 2012 kind of range here, and Mike, that's when you and I first started working together. Actually, I think it was 2012.
Exactly. Right.
That's when options kind of came to the forefront and almost got rid of the overhang, the negative overhang that options are risky, that options are for bettors, that it's only for people that want to waste money, and where options really became mainstream.
Exactly. So yeah, I just was interested in that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any firm that lets you trade options. I'll tell you in a second why that's a big deal with Funder. But everybody was doing stocks, and I was like, you know what? I got to get in where I can. So I went into a proprietary trading firm called Great Point Capital. Those of you know who Charlie Moon is. Charlie used to trade there before I did. So me and him have that background too. But in short, started out there, grinded my way up from a very, very small amount of money. They gave us $2,000 in buying power, but I was able to get up to $500,000 and then basically go from there. So as of right now, I don't trade for those firms. I trade almost exclusively for myself and my group. But that's the way it all got started. So with Funder, the idea was very simple. I was looking at the landscape, and the guys at Prosper were, looking at the same thing. We all kind of got together and said, hey, maybe there's something we could all put together. So some of the team that we work with, I won't go with the names, everybody, but the point is, we have a team at Funder. We put together the program. It took a while, but it's been about 2 years now. Not quite 2 years, but it's getting close, maybe like a year and a half. And we've had phenomenal success. We've had a lot of people get funded. A lot of people join the program. Even people who didn't want to get funded, they were like, yeah, this is great. I mean, I'm learning how to trade like a professional. We have all the tracking, all the details. And honestly, that's really what makes it effective. It's not so much about learning a new chart pattern or something like that. It's learning how to think. It's learning how to structure what you're doing to make sure your trading business is staying profitable. So that's what I spend the most time on, just looking at things and saying, look, most of the people who come in, they have some idea of what the markets do. My job is just to say, listen, you have a general idea, but let's make this work. Let's make sure we know when to cut a loss, when to hold a position, when to look for an opportunity, when what you're doing is going to work well, when it's not. And use that resource of having me and the team available to you every day during prime trading hours, where we're looking for opportunities. Like today, I wasn't really going to talk about this today, but a firm, for example, AFRM.
Here, you know what, Mike, I'm going to put the charts up. So you guys won't be able to see Mike, but you should still be able to hear him while I have the charts up here. Let's get to my screen capture. Okay. All right, Mike, I've got a firm up on the screen right now. Do you want me to go to like a minute chart?
Yeah, let's look at a minute intraday. That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay,
so
here you go.
So today, it wasn't that this stock was something we were expecting to do anything, but it's on our regular watch list. So I have a watch list of stocks that we assemble, we update on a regular basis. And these are all company stocks that we know reliably move. They move a lot. So what you want is a set of stocks that there's a good chance that a few of those in any given day might be doing something good enough that you can make some money. And what I found out when I was a proprietary trader, I was, like I said, I was coming from a futures background. Futures, you only have a few markets, right? Relatively speaking. Stocks, you have thousands and thousands of stocks, right? That are optionable. So, and also you have other stocks besides that. I think the number is like 14,000, something like that, or, stocks that you can trade in the US. So looking at that, I'm like, wow, how do you get through to find the right opportunities? And fortunately, when I was at Great Point, there was a gentleman named Ben who actually gave me some great advice. In fact, I can pretty much point to him as being the primary source for a lot of stuff that I end up doing. But what he said was simple. He said, listen, there's all sorts of stocks out there. Just look for something that has a really good profile for that day. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, look at it. Does it look like it really wants to go down or really wants to go up? And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, if you look at the stock, if it looks like it really is bearish or really is bullish, it is what it is. So a firm, we do real-time scans, and that one showed up on the list. It was moving up to the top of the downtrending list. We have two, one for uptrend, one for downtrend. Now I was noticing today I was getting a lot more downtrend than uptrend opportunities. So we focused on stocks going down, and Affirm was one of the best ones. Now this one, I have targets that I give to the traders. I have some algorithms that I program that allow me to project where a stock price might go. And in this case, this one hit both. It hit number one and number two, which means that's a pretty big move.
What was number one, Mike?
Number one, actually, let me check. It was at, first one was at 45.54. That was target number one. And then target number two was at 43.68. And I don't know if we got down to the target number two yet, but we got pretty close. Oh,
yeah,
we
it looks
did.
like
We did. It's like right there. I think it's like 1 penny away.
Yeah, we're literally right there. The low of the day was actually 43.65.
Okay, so it went 3 pennies below. All right, so pretty good target. But basically, folks, these are the things that I give everyone access to. We look for these opportunities intraday, and I also point out exactly where we think the stock will go. We're basically curating whatever we see and pointing out the best opportunities. So there are going to be stocks that we think might set up. We're waiting for it, but it's not ready yet. Others are right at the right place. So we have our likely place to exit for a stop loss. We have our targets. So since all of that is communicated, even if a person's not great at finding a stock, this makes it a lot easier. You'll always have something to be able to do in that room. But most importantly is to teach you, to show you by example, how to find the right type of trades, how to manage them. So that way, when you see something similar, you will know exactly what to do. So Affirm was a great one. And that's literally what we look for. If it's a downtrending stock, we wanted to look like that, right? And right from the start, it looked like the right picture. It went down the right way. It just kind of tapers off and starts going down. Basically, as I tell the people in the room, we have to be very snobbish about this. I'm like, just imagine you're the best looking lady in the entire world at the bar. And I said, hey, what do? You say, no to everybody except exactly what you want. Like, that's the way we have to look at these stocks. They have to be exactly what we want. And if we see that right setup, then we go for it. And there's other information too we were looking at as far as order flow data, support and resistance data, but everything lined up for that stock. So that one was almost a perfect example. And we were able to take advantage of it. So in short, that's basically what we do every day. So for people that are part of the program, as long as you follow our lead, you should be able to become a much more effective trader, but more importantly, get funded.
And what I wanna add to that is it's not just a funding program where Mike's gonna give you signals or whatever it is, and then go trade on your own. Right. One of the things that separates what we do from other prop programs that are out there is you have a live professional coach on a day-to-day basis sitting there with you, not just helping you guide to where your entry and exit points are, but also discussing all of the strategies or the market trends that are influencing these kinds of trades, technicals, fundamentals. So as Mike alluded to earlier, sure, you're in it to trade, you're in it to, obviously to make money. You got to make money in it. But the education part of this is unmatched. It is, Lewis, I don't know where you trade, and hopefully it's all successful, but I can guarantee that the education part of it, you will not find a better place, especially learning from Mike Patton, someone that's been doing this for literally almost 15 years now. Now, Mike, one of the things you had talked about that you wanted to hit on, you had mentioned options specifically. Yeah. Why is that?
Right. The reason why I hit on that is because in the proprietary trading world, if you're trying to get in, like from the ground floor, there really aren't places that offer options trading. I mean, even if you get in with stocks, it's so difficult these days to even get a way in, because unless you're coming in with a very extensive track record, almost no place will hire you unless you are a programmer. You're going to add to their algorithm, whatever they're doing. And almost all of these firms are doing some sort of market making. So they're not really looking to trade something like a firm. They're just going to say, hey, I can scalp the bid ask all day. Okay. So this is a different type of trading, but it's more suitable for the typical person. This is more the traditional style of trading that most of us in the past were used to doing. So Funder, first of all, gives an opportunity for you to do that, where you don't have to come in with an advanced math degree, or you don't have to come in with this extensive pedigree of trading. You're actually given a ground floor opportunity. You just have to prove that you're willing to learn and apply what we teach you. And for options, we're the only company out there, period, that lets people trade options at all. There's no one else. Everyone else, it's got to be, we have maybe a couple places that let you do stocks, but the majority is like Forex, futures, and things like that. It's not that we have anything against those markets, but we have to be honest, most people don't succeed in those markets. That's the reality of it. In other words, if I were to survey you guys and say, how many of you know someone who's made decent money in the stock market, almost everyone's going to raise their hand. If I say, how many of you know someone who's done really well day trading futures or Forex, most of you are going to say, well, actually, I don't know anyone. And that's just the reality of it. It's nothing wrong with those markets. It's just they're a lot more difficult, in my experience, and also in a lot of other people's experience, to really do well at. But with stocks, stock options, you have so many things going on day to day that you're almost certainly going to find something if you're looking. And something that you can exploit without having to go through some ultra sophisticated way of trading, if that makes sense. But yeah, options,
absolutely. And again, you guys can look, you can go to the internet and look up prop programs and whatever it is. You will find that are we the only one or one of the only ones that offer option trading? And when we launched the program, it was just stocks. Now it is stocks and options.
Yeah, we are the only ones for options. And for stocks, there's only one other firm I know. And that firm, I talked to them before Funder ever started. And no, I would not touch these guys. I'm not going to say their name. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
So I see a bunch of you asking, questions about it. And, we obviously are doing this for a reason. Prop trading is so incredibly important. But Mike is doing a live webinar right after the close of the markets today on how to become a prop trader with Funder. And we will fund up to $100,000. In fact, Mike, we have a lot of clients that are.
Well, no. We start at $100,000.
Right, starting at $100,000.
And then we go up from there.
We have a lot of clients that have elevated that because they're doing so successfully.
Right.
So there's a link in the chat there, guys, if you want to find out more about the whole program, what the costs are involved, because yes, as someone put in here, there's nothing that is free, of course, right? And we're as transparent gets. Mike will review all of that, and that is right after the market closed today at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central Time today. Mike, I want to bring up one more chart. Excuse me.
Sure.
I know there's a couple on your radar for stocks that have really been in the news lately, and I think let's take a look at ASML from what happened, obviously with the news from 2 days ago. So let me pull up that chart, and I'll pull up a 1 minute chart here again. Let's see, 1 day, 1 minute. Okay, and here we go. Got it.
Okay.
And before I do that here, you can see when the news came out on Tuesday, guys, that was right here. And boy, I don't know. You can look back at as many stocks as you want. I'm not sure you're gonna ever see a 1 minute bar like that.
Yeah, it was hard. It was just crazy. So during that time, I remember we're all looking at the markets, and I just noticed all of a sudden the NASDAQ starts to go down very quickly, and every stock starts to go down quickly. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Then finally I see ASML, and I was like, oh, something's wrong with that one, because that, like you said, that downward move was so pronounced. Well, long story short, guys, I'm sure you read about it. Basically, they reported that orders were about half of what they were expected to be by the street, which is a huge deal. If to put this in perspective, a few years ago when Netflix came out with earnings, and they said, "Hey, we were expecting 8 million users, but we only got 2," the stock went down. What was that? About 2/3 of the price?
Exactly.
Eventually?
That was a miss.
It was brutal. So
but this one was different though, because it was an announcement that wasn't supposed to happen at that time. It slipped out, so it happened during market hours and caught the entire market, off kilter. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It was unbelievable, and that's a good example. I was using that as an example for today of why news just obliterates everything else. So it doesn't matter what else you say. If the news comes out and it's really bad or good, the stocks are going to move, and you got to recognize that right away that something's up. So with this stock, the reason why I'm watching it is because usually when a situation like this happens, sometime down the line, every stock is going to reach a price where no one really wants to sell anymore, and suddenly buyers say, yeah, this is a good time to get in. As long as the company is not in a situation where it's like going to go out of business, which this one is not in that situation. It's just a matter of revaluation. Where should the value be now based upon what the current reality is? So just like with Netflix, once that information came out that things were not as good as they thought, stock goes down, but then eventually goes back up as people look at the new data and it says, hey, things are actually going in the direction that we want. So now people start to bid up the price in anticipation of better results later. So with ASML, just like what happened with CrowdStrike, when CrowdStrike CRWD collapsed.
And that was last month, or when they had the outage with Delta Airlines. And
right.
Yeah.
When that happened in the middle of summer, what I did was I looked at it and I said, is this a company that's easily replaceable to their clients? And the answer was an obvious no, it's not easily replaceable. They really have carved out their own space there. So therefore, even if they have a problem, it's not like everyone can just say, hey, we're going to leave and go to somewhere else. It's not like they can go from FedEx to UPS. It's not going to work that way. Bottom line is, CrowdStrike is a necessary company at this point. So the only question was, how far down would the stock be willing to go before someone says, hey, all right, I want to buy this now because this is still a good company, and eventually all this stuff is going to play out anyway. So the same thing is going to be true for ASML. I don't know where that price is yet, but I do have some ideas of where it might be.
All right, so I've got it up on the the screen now, and we can see that there was massive volume right around like 683, 685 or so.
Yep.
What are you seeing here?
What I'm thinking is this, and this is preliminary, but I do believe, and this is unfortunate for anyone who's a buyer of this stock, but we're probably heading down to closer to 600. Now, the reason why I think so is because the last time we had a similar profile for the fundamentals and the valuation, et cetera, of the company, it was somewhere around that price. So what we have to find out now is, now that they've given out that information, we need to wait a little bit to see how the larger players in the market are seeing the situation. And right now, I do see there recently were a decent amount of buyers in the stock. I'm just looking at some other information I have. But I don't think yet we're at the point yet where I'm convinced that this is about to turn around. So my guess is that it's going to be another, where are we at now?
So I put up a daily chart now, Mike, and
it's probably
you can
going to
see
be
that 600-ish level that you talked about.
Yep.
That came into play back on a year ago.
Exactly.
Basically October last year, and you guys can also see the massive volume bars here.
Yep.
Down here, right around that 600. So I think that's what Mike was talking about there.
Right. So I do think that's a possibility. As of right now, I would not recommend trying to buy it just to hold it. I mean, if you're day trading, I don't even think you're going to get a good move intraday up. I mean, the two good days were down, obviously, like short selling that stock the first day when it hit, and then the second day it just followed through. Those were the best opportunities. But since then, right now we have kind of a market that I think is trying to figure out what's next. And the same thing did happen to CrowdStrike, where you had different points as it was going down, where you could see the wheels are turning and saying, I wonder. No, not yet. Okay. Then it goes down some more. So there are several things I will look for. The main thing, as you said, is volume. I want to see, like, for example, for CrowdStrike, at one point when it was getting down to near 200, you could see massive bids just sitting there waiting for that stock to come down. So when you see that, which I don't see yet for ASML, but when we do see that, let me see if I can find, give me 1 second. Let me check that on my screen. I won't be able to share this, but let me just see if I can find out if there's something down there. But
I mean, the big massive volume that I see below where it's at right now, and there's pretty big massive volume right here at this range, is right down at 594. Is the next big That's
Yep,
the next
there you
big
go.
volume bar.
There you go. Right. So that's probably where it's going to end up. So I see some buyers below. Like I said, nothing massive enough besides what you just mentioned. So it looks like that is the place we're probably heading. Now, obviously, we don't know for sure, but we're basically reading the map and saying, okay, well, looking right now, it doesn't look like we found the bottom yet. So as of right now, I would keep looking for opportunities to short sell the stock on an intraday basis if it comes up, right? So we
So
know
instead of buying the dip, selling the rip kind of thing here.
I would strongly advise that. Don't be the hero that buys at the low. But once it gets to the place where it's going to settle in, I do expect we're going to see a lot of indications that this is probably it. So once that uptrend starts, like what happened with CrowdStrike, you just have day after day after day where it's like, oh, it's trending up again. Oh, it's trending up again today. Oh, it's doing it again today. So I like to look for those because even though day trading is a focus on the intraday and what's happening at that time, if we know a situation is occurring in a stock and we are aware of where these key price levels might be, we can always have a heads up on that, keep it on our watch list. As soon as we see that stock start to move, then we can take advantage of it.
Awesome. Well, guys, I know we've only had half an hour and we're past that already, and this is awesome. Again, if anybody has any interest in learning a little bit more about our prop program, learning more about Mike, his background, whatever it is, there's a link up there after the close today, 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. We all know what time it is right now. And Mike, I don't know that you've been in here before, but at the end of each of these live streams, we go to the magic wheel spin where all the attendees today that have entered their name in the chat, they go on the magic wheel and we spin for some Prosper swag. So I usually give a quick drum roll, but Mike, I'm going to give it to you today. You got your desk or something you can pound on to give us a drum roll?
All right, here we go.
Alrighty. And there goes the wheel, folks. There goes the wheel. Looks like it's more crowded on there than yesterday. Is it going to be Luis or is it going to be Kent? Luis. Wow. Luis, I think, was the one that is trading with a prop firm right now already. Nice. So that's good stuff, Luis. As you know, you got to email me at prosperswag@prospertrading.com. There it is. Please shoot me an email with your name, address, and size of the swag that you would like. So, guys, Mike Patton, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central today. No, it's not a fly-by-night type of thing. Prop trading is huge. Use someone else's money to trade. Smash that like button, everybody. And then as a double header, later tonight live, I will be doing a presentation at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time for option training for beginners. So you got a double header today. Would appreciate you guys being in attendance if you're interested in either one of those. As always, thank you so much for attending. Tomorrow, guys, I'm going to be talking about something that a bunch of people had talked about earlier in the week, and that is, what does hard to borrow mean? So we're going to take a deep dive into that tomorrow. All righty, Mike Patton, you are the man. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
And everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.